You look at your lead and you say, do I like the way that I wrote that lead? You look at the body of your piece, have I given some good concrete examples? And then you look to a conclusion, have I summarized for the reader where I was coming from? And you can cut and paste and cross things out, and then the next step is to write the final piece, and then you've got to stick with it.
When you're writing something, you have to think about your audience as well. I mean, when you're doing that outpouring stage, that you don't want that to be your first notion of just like scribbling along on the paper and saying, okay, I've done it and here it is, and this is my truth, and letting it stand on its own. But you want to come back, and when you're ready to massage that and you're doing your crafting, you want to think, have I worded this in a way that anybody could sit down and read this and understand it? And you can just imagine yourself as being one of those other people, and you can actually think of people. Do I think that my teacher will understand this?
I once had a teacher who would say the word revision and I would go into panic. So I know that feeling. I think even the term revision to me reminds me of tooth extraction, like I'm going to go in and have something horrible done, and that it's painful and I'm going to lose something. And over time, I think revision just becomes part of the process of writing, so that you're changing things as you go along and you get better at it. That's the good news. So it doesn't feel like you're having tooth extractions all the time or having teachers be mean to you and say, you must change this. It's all to kind of get better.
Writing is therapy. Writing from personal experience, helps you sort through what it is that's on your mind and what it is that you're thinking about. Revision is the evolution of writing. It is what makes my writing turn out to be what it is just the amount of times that I go over it and change things. Before I became a full-time student, I worked on the ambulance full-time for 2 years.
The flight nurse's steel blue eyes struggled to keep their cool under a brow beaded with sweat. Car versus telephone pole. He's going to be a doe, we've got no ID.
And TASC started out as just a really terrible short paragraph blurb that I put the idea down and went, okay, this sucks. How can I make it better? So you revise and revise and revise, and pretty soon it had turned into something entirely different from the original paragraph, but it turned into something that I actually liked a little better. To someone that says they don't need to revise, I would say you don't want to revise. I think people get tired of revising papers before the papers are done being revised.
The more you do, the better you get. I used to say that about guitar playing, and they say, oh, Mr. Akins, do you play guitar? No. I had to drop that.
The poet here for whom we're named, Richard Hugo, once said that a poet is a wrong thing in a right world. And I think what he meant by that was that everything we write initially is wrong. And it's all about just the words getting there on paper. And then we have all this great opportunity to go back and fiddle with them and move them around. It's lucky we're not working with expensive paint or clay, where you'd have to go in and actually break something or spend a lot of money doing it. I mean, it doesn't cost very much to move words around, and paper's a pretty cheap product.
The revision stage also includes correcting grammar, spelling, and usage. Look closely at every word and sentence. Fix sentence fragments or run-ons. Make sure subjects and verbs agree. Check spelling and punctuation. Pay special attention to things you have trouble with. Look, if you aren't sure about something, look it up in a dictionary or a style guide. If you use a computer to write, run the spell check or grammar check feature in addition to reading it yourself.
The revision goes on until you think you've got it the way you want it, and then you want to start looking at correctness. Now, I'm not going to make any changes. It's crazy to go in and edit when you're going to dump the sentence and dump the paragraph. So then you go in and you say, all right, have I followed the rules that I know about correctness? Is my grammar correct? Is my spelling correct? Is the appearance all right? Can a writer read it? Can a writer understand it?
Look at it for text and look at it for technical aspect, and not just look at content alone. I mean, it all goes together, but you can break those things down and look at them separately. Really helps you to put a piece back together and put it back together at its best.